The night before the most important exam of our lives, my boyfriend asked if I minded another girl giving him his real 18th birthday present. In my first life, I said yes. I told his parents. I helped them drag him home from a party. I stayed up until sunrise sobering him up, then drove him to the Older Scholars Challenge with a thermos of black coffee between his knees. Ryan Hale won a full scholarship. The other girl died before morning. And Ryan spent the next 2 years making sure my whole family paid for it. The last thing I saw before my heart stopped in a county jail infirmary was a video on Ryan's phone. My mother and father were trapped inside our burning house while strangers stood on the lawn and filmed. Ryan leaned close to the glass separating us. "You took Sienna from me," he whispered. "Now we're even." Then the world went black. When I opened my eyes again, Ryan was 18, alive, and leaning against a desk in the physics lab at Bellwether High, our small-town Ohio public school. Sienna Ray was alive too. She sat on the counter beside him, in torn black jeans and silver boots, smiling like she already owned every good thing in his future. "Well," Ryan asked me, "are you going to make this weird?" My hands were bare, no cuffs, no scars from the jail infirmary needles. On the wall behind him, a paper banner read, "Good luck, Alder finalists. Tomorrow." The exam was tomorrow. I had come back to the exact afternoon when everything began. Sienna wrapped both arms around Ryan's neck. I rented a lake house for his birthday. Just a few friends, no parents, no curfew. One of Ryan's friends whistled. Ryan watched my face. He was waiting for jealousy. He always liked proof that I cared more. The first time through, I begged him not to go. That morning, I had overheard Sienna laughing in the girls' restroom. "Ryan thinks I'm taking him to dinner," she had told her friend. "I'm keeping him at the lake until noon. Let's see how much he loves his precious scholarship after a night with me." I had warned him. He called me controlling. I had warned his parents. He called it betrayal. I had saved his future. He used that future to destroy mine. This time, I smiled. "Why would I make it weird?" I asked. "You should go." The room went quiet. Ryan's smile slipped. "You're serious?" "Completely. You only turn 18 once." Sienna studied me, suddenly suspicious. She had prepared for a fight. My surrender ruined her script. Ryan pushed away from the desk. "The older exam starts at 8. Then I guess you'll need an alarm. You always said this scholarship was our future." That almost made me laugh. For 3 years, Ryan and I had planned to attend Lakeshore University together. His family couldn't afford the tuition without the Alder scholarship. I didn't need it. Calder Institute had already offered me a full ride and a place in its biomedical engineering lab. I had kept Calder waiting because Ryan said Boston was too far from him. I had mistaken Ryan's potential for a joint project and quietly assigned myself all the maintenance. Dying made the arrangement look less romantic. "It's your future," I said, "not ours." I picked up my backpack. Ryan caught the strap before I could leave. "Give me your phone." "Excuse me." "I know you, Maya. The second you get outside, you'll call my mom." His friends laughed. "He's right," one of them said. "Maya's basically his parole officer." Ryan held out his hand. "Phone, and your Alder badge." Until I opened my eyes in this lab, the threat of missing that exam would have terrified me. Now I calmly placed my phone and printed entry badge on the desk. Ryan blinked. "There," I said. "Enjoy your party." He picked up the badge but didn't look satisfied. "What game are you playing?" "None." "Then tell me you don't care if I go with her." Sienna's arms tightened around him. I looked at the boy I had loved since we were 12. I remembered the man he became, the man who watched my parents die and smiled. "I don't care," I said. Ryan's face hardened. He tore my Alder badge in half. Someone gasped. For 1 second, The sound of ripping paper carried me back to court, to evidence bags, to a prosecutor telling a jury that Ryan's edited video mattered more than my word. Then the memory passed. Ryan dropped the pieces at my feet. "Now you have a reason to call my parents," he said. I stepped over them. "No," I said. "Now I have a reason to stop planning a future with you." I walked out while his friends were still laughing. They thought Ryan had destroyed my only chance. They didn't know Calder's acceptance letter was waiting in my inbox. And they definitely didn't know that before midnight, Ryan Hale was going to destroy himself. I called my mother from the school office. Not Ryan's mother. Mine. "Mom," I said, gripping the receiver. "Is Calder's offer still open?" There was a long pause. "Maya, what happened?" "My parents had tried to hide their disappointment when I turned Calder down." My mother was an emergency room nurse. My father repaired heating systems. Neither of them had gone to college, but they had spent years driving me to science fairs and stretching every dollar to buy used lab equipment. Calder wasn't just a good school. It was the reason my father had worked through a torn rotator cuff, and I had almost thrown it away for a boy. "Nothing happened," I said, fighting tears. I finally made the right choice. Mom's voice softened. "The deadline is 5 o'clock. The clock above the secretary's desk read 4:43. Can you get to my laptop? Your father is opening it now." 17 minutes later, I heard my parents cheer through the phone as the confirmation page loaded. I was going to Boston. I was going to study tissue engineering in one of the best undergraduate labs in the country. I was going to live. When I got home, Dad had bought a grocery store sheet cake. "Calder bound. Maya," was written across it in crooked blue frosting. Mum hugged me so hard my feet left the floor. I had forgotten how she smelled. Lavender detergent, coffee, the faint antiseptic scent that never quite left her hands. I buried my face against her shoulder. "Hey," she murmured. "This is happy news." "I know." Dad touched the back of my head. "Did Ryan give you trouble?" I pulled away and looked at both of them. Protecting Ryan had become a family habit. We excused his moods because his parents struggled, tutored him for free, and drove him to competitions. Somewhere along the way, his ambition became the breakable thing in the room, and the rest of us learned to move around it carefully. "Ryan went to the lake with Sienna," I said. "Whatever tomorrow looks like, please don't go get him." Dad's eyebrows rose. "You know where they are?" Mom reached for her phone. I covered it with my hand. "Please." She searched my face. "You know where he is?" "Yes." "Is he safe?" I thought about Sienna's plan. She wanted Ryan to miss an exam, not die. He had gone willingly. The crash came only after his parents dragged him away, and Sienna chased their car down Mercer Road, drunk and furious. If we did nothing, that road might remain empty tonight. "He's with friends," I said. "He's 18. I warned him the exam was early. He told me to stay out of his life." My mother slowly set her phone down. "Then we stay out," Dad said. At 11:30, a brand new social media account sent a video to my laptop. Sienna appeared on screen in a glittering silver dress. Music pounded behind her. Ryan stood at her shoulder with a red plastic cup in one hand. "Say hi to your girlfriend," Sienna shouted. Ryan pulled her close. His pupils were clear. His voice was steady. "Maya thinks one test decides my life," he said to the camera. "Tell her I don't need a babysitter." "Do you need me?" Sienna asked. He looked straight into the lens. "Tonight? Absolutely." Then he kissed her. The clip ended. Another direct message appeared. "He picked me." My body gave the video a second or two of the old response. Heat in my face, one hard kick behind my ribs. Then Ryan was just a drunk boy showing off for a camera. I emailed the file to myself and Dad, then tucked a third copy into the same folder as my Calder paperwork. Then I went downstairs and ate a second piece of cake with my parents. At 6 the next morning, someone started pounding on our front door. Ryan's mother stood on the porch in pajama pants and a winter coat. Her face was grey. "Maya," she said, "Ryan never came home." Carol Hale pushed past me before I could answer. "He isn't picking up." Mark checked his friends' houses. "The exam starts in 2 hours." My father came into the hall. "Carol, slow down." "I can't slow down. This scholarship is his only shot." She grabbed both my hands. "Maya, he tells you everything. Where is he?" I remembered the same coat and the same shaking hands. The last time Carol stood in our hall like this, I gave her the address. Carol and Mark had dragged Ryan out of the lake house at 3 a.m. Sienna had chased them into the driveway, screaming that Ryan belonged to her. An hour later, drunk and alone, she stole her friend's car. She missed a curve above Mercer Lake. Ryan blamed me because blame was easier than grief. For years, I had treated one phone call as if it had steered Sienna's car onto Mercer Road. Standing in my parents' hallway, I finally heard how absurd that was. She had been drinking. Ryan had gone to the party. I was not the hand on either steering wheel. "I don't know where he is," I said. It was the first lie of my second life. It saved Sienna's life, and it gave Ryan exactly what he had demanded: freedom from me. Carol stared. "You have to know something." Carol stared. "He took my phone. He tore up my entry badge. Then he left with Sienna Ray." Her grip loosened. Dad's expression changed. "He did what?" I showed them the photo I had taken on the school office computer before leaving. 2 halves of my badge on the physics lab floor. Carol covered her mouth. "I'm sorry," I told her, "but I'm not responsible for Ryan anymore." She left without apologizing. By 7:30, my parents and I were at the downtown conference center where the Alder Challenge was held. The program coordinator reprinted my badge in less than a minute. I could have taken the exam after all. Instead, I formally withdrew and asked the coordinator to offer my seat to the first alternate. "You're sure?" she asked. "Your preliminary score was exceptional." "I accepted, Calder." Her face brightened. "Then congratulations." Outside the testing room, Ryan's parents paced the marble lobby. His mother called every hospital in the county. His father kept staring at the doors, as if Ryan might appear through force of will. At 8, the proctor locked them. Carol made a small sound and folded into her husband's arms. I felt sorry for them. When Carol's knees buckled, my own body leaned forward before I caught it. Dad noticed and shifted beside me, close enough that our sleeves touched. At 9:45, Ryan stumbled through the revolving door. His shirt was wrinkled. A dark bruise marked the side of his neck. His hair still smelled like smoke and lake water from several feet away. Carol slapped him. The crack echoed across the lobby. "Where were you?" she shouted. "Do you know what you've done?" Ryan looked past her and saw me. For one naked second, panic crossed his face. Then calculation replaced it. He pointed at me. "She did this." Everyone turned. "Maya drugged me," he said. His father's face twisted. "What?" "She asked me to meet her last night. I told her I didn't want to be with her anymore, so she slipped something into my drink and left me at that lake house." The lie arrived so easily. I had spent 2 years telling myself grief turned Ryan into the man who framed me. Watching him now, I wondered if grief had only given him an excuse. He walked toward me, getting louder as people raised their phones. "You couldn't stand the idea of me going to Lakeshore without you. You ruined my scholarship because I rejected you." His mother looked at me with horror. His father looked ready to lunge. I didn't move. "Are you finished?" I asked. Ryan's eyes narrowed. I took out my phone. Sienna had returned it by tossing it onto our porch at 4 a.m. She probably thought that would erase Ryan's attempt to control me. It didn't. I connected to the lobby display used for scholarship announcements. Ryan's face appeared on the 15-foot screen. Music thundered from the speakers. "Maya thinks one test decides my life," Video Ryan announced, lifting his cup. "Tell her I don't need a babysitter." Then Sienna asked if he needed her. Tonight? Absolutely. Their kiss filled the screen. No one spoke when the clip ended. Ryan went pale. I turned to his father. Last night, your son stole my phone and destroyed my exam badge because he thought I might warn you. Sienna sent me that video at 11:30. My parents can confirm I was home. Carol looked at Ryan. You lied to us. He opened his mouth. I wasn't done. I also forwarded the original file to the program coordinator. The uncut footage shows Ryan entering the lake house willingly and drinking from that same bottle while my parents and our doorbell cameras confirm I was at home. The phones around us were still recording. Ryan stared at the crowd and realized his mistake too late. He hadn't just lied. He had lied on camera. The clip reached 500,000 views before lunch, not because I posted it. One of the parents in the lobby uploaded the whole confrontation with the caption, "Boy misses full ride exam. Blames girlfriend. Gets fact-checked in 4K. By afternoon, Ryan's name was trending locally. People made reaction videos. Someone remixed his "I don't need a babysitter" speech over footage of the testing room doors closing. Sienna reposted one with 3 laughing emojis. The internet had chosen a villain. I knew how quickly it could choose another. So I didn't celebrate. I gave the original files to my parents and wrote down everything I remembered from my first life. The page took 6 attempts. I tore out the first 5 because my handwriting kept collapsing into a black knot around the same words: cabin, bracelet, drink, phone. On the 6th, I forced myself to write full sentences. Ryan had invited me to his family's empty lake cabin. He drugged my drink, tore open his own shirt, and used my unconscious hand to scratch his chest. His parents hid my phone. His edited video was online before I reached the police station. By the time evidence raised questions about his story, the internet no longer cared. My name meant predator. My parents' address was everywhere. Strangers came to our home with signs, cameras, and eventually gasoline. Dad read the page at our kitchen table. His face got tighter with every line. Did Ryan threaten this? He asked. Not in those words. Then how do you know? The truth sat behind my teeth, because I had already died. Because I still woke up hearing my mother scream from a video filmed outside a burning house. Because every time Dad touched my shoulder, part of me expected my hand to pass through a ghost. I couldn't say any of that without sounding unwell, so I gave him a truth he could use. Ryan looked at me this morning and lied, without hesitating. He didn't care what the accusation would do to me. I need us to assume he could escalate. Mom read it again, went to the back door, and checked the dead bolt. I'm calling Elena, she said. Your father can add cameras after he fixes the one pointed at our recycling bin. Elena Cruz was a defense attorney Mom knew from the hospital. She told me not to meet Ryan alone, and not to answer any call we couldn't legally record. Dad installed 2 more exterior cameras, and, after a short argument with Mom, re-pointed the useless one. For 12 days, Ryan went silent. Sienna did not. She posted from his bedroom. She wore his lakeshore sweatshirt. She uploaded a photo of herself sitting on his lap while he stared away from the camera. Her captions were all variations of the same message: I won. Ryan rarely looked at her in the pictures. Ryan's remaining older scores were high, but missing the first section disqualified him from the scholarship. Lakeshore offered admission without aid. His parents couldn't pay. He blamed Sienna first. Then he remembered me. At 2:14 a.m. on a Tuesday, an email arrived. Maya, I'm sorry. You were right about everything. Sienna used me. My parents hate me. I'm leaving for my uncle's place in Arizona after graduation, and I can't go without saying goodbye. I found the silver bracelet your grandmother gave you. It's at our lake cabin. Meet me there Saturday at 4. I'll give it back, and then you'll never have to see me again. Ryan, my grandmother's bracelet had disappeared before the cabin in my first life, too. I had been so relieved when Ryan claimed to find it that I ignored every instinct telling me not to enter that cabin. I forwarded the email to Elena. Her reply came 1 minute later. Absolutely not! I stared at those words. If I stayed away, Ryan might change his plan. He might come to my house. He might target my parents. He might wait until Boston, when I no longer knew what to expect. I didn't want revenge. I wanted the trap dismantled while I could still see it, so I called Elena. I know what he's going to do, I said. Help me prove it. Elena spent the next 10 minutes explaining why intentionally walking into danger was not a plan. She used several words I won't repeat, and one I had to look up later. Then she asked, "How certain are you?" "Certain enough that if I don't go, I want police watching my house and my parents until I leave for Boston." That changed the conversation. She agreed to help only after I admitted I might go without her. That earned me another word I already knew. Then she made me repeat the rules. An officer nearby, a live feed for my parents, a panic button, no food or drinks, and no improvising. "You pick up the bracelet and leave," she said. "If you start feeling clever, leave faster." On Saturday afternoon, Dad parked at a public boat launch 1/2 mile from the Hale cabin. Elena sat beside him with her phone connected to the camera hidden in the button of my denim jacket. A sheriff's deputy waited farther up the road. "You can still walk away," Dad said. I looked at his face and remembered flames reflected on Ryan's phone. I know, walking away isn't weakness. I know that too. I squeezed his hand. This is me making sure he can't follow. The Hale cabin stood above Mercer Lake, surrounded by pine trees and expensive silence. Ryan opened the door before I knocked. He had lost weight. The confidence that once made teachers call him promising had sharpened into something brittle. "You came," he said. "You have my bracelet. Still direct." He smiled. "I used to love that about you." "Where is it?" "Inside." The living room looked almost exactly as I remembered. Brown leather couch, stone fireplace, framed photos of Ryan fishing with his father. But there were differences. A small security camera in the corner had been turned toward the wall. 2 wineglasses waited on the coffee table, and the rear bumper of Ryan's mother's car peeked out from behind the detached garage. My pulse kicked. They were here, just like before. Ryan picked up 1 glass. "A toast? I don't drink. You did. At prom." I held a glass at prom. His smile thinned. "1 sip, Maya. For 12 years of friendship. The bracelet." He handed me the second glass instead. Pale wine trembled against the rim. The first time, Ryan called it sparkling cider. I drank because I trusted him. Within minutes, my body became hot and heavy, and my memories dissolved around the edges. Now I studied the glass. The wine looked perfectly ordinary. That was what made it dangerous. "Drink," Ryan said. I met his eyes. "Why?" "Because you owe me that much." That was Ryan's private accounting system. Every hour I had spent tutoring him disappeared from the ledger. 1 refusal went down in red ink. I placed the glass on the table. "I don't owe you anything." Ryan's hand closed around my wrist. At the boat launch, my father and Elena were seeing everything. I kept my voice steady. "Let go. Do you have any idea what you cost me?" "You missed the exam because you didn't warn me. You took my phone so I couldn't." His fingers tightened. "You knew where I was." "My mum came to your house. You could have saved me." The words sent a chill through me. In the jail visitation room, he had said the opposite. "You should have stayed out of my life." Ryan did not hear the contradiction. He only needed one version at a time, whichever put me in the wrong. "I did exactly what you asked," I said. "I let you choose." For a moment, his mask vanished. "Sienna was supposed to be fun," he hissed. "You were supposed to be my future." "Then you picked the wrong future." I pressed the panic button. Ryan felt the movement beneath my jacket. His expression changed. He reached for the button camera. I twisted free and stepped back. A door slammed in the hallway. Carol Hale rushed into the room. His father came behind her holding my missing phone. "What did you do?" Carol demanded. For one wild instant, I thought she was speaking to her son. Then she looked at me. "What did you do to Ryan?" Mark Hale locked the front door. Carol moved between me and the windows. Their involvement still hurt in a way Ryan's did not. Carol had brought soup when I had pneumonia. Mark taught me to ride a bike. I used to call them Aunt Carol and Uncle Mark, even though we weren't related. I couldn't make those names fit the two people blocking the exits. "Give me my phone," I said. Mark held it up. "You dropped this outside." It was the decoy I had left in the porch planter 3 minutes earlier. The real feed continued from my jacket. "You set him up at the scholarship center," Carol said. "You humiliated him in front of everyone. He falsely accused me in front of everyone. He was scared. So was I." "You had called her," she snapped. "Ryan had nothing." The words landed harder than I expected. I thought of every afternoon I spent tutoring him, every contest application I edited, every time my father drove him home because his parents were working. In their minds, my success was an unfair advantage. Ryan's success was something I owed him. "He had the exam," I said. "He chose a party." Ryan picked up the untouched wine glass. "Drink it," he said. His father flinched. His mother did not. I looked at all three of them. "What's in it?" Carol crossed her arms. "Stop being dramatic. Then you drink it." Silence. Ryan's jaw clenched. "You always thought you were smarter than me." "No." "I thought you were better than this." That hurt him. He threw the wine into the fireplace. The glass followed, shattering against the stone. Mark swore. Carol began to cry. Ryan turned his back on me and yanked open his shirt. Buttons bounced across the floor. Then he dragged his nails down his own chest. 4 red lines appeared on his skin. Even knowing it would happen, I stopped breathing. In my first life, I never saw him create the injuries. I woke on the floor with his blood beneath my fingernails and police lights flooding the room. Now I watched him do it deliberately. He picked up his phone and dialed 911. "My ex-girlfriend broke into our cabin," he said, forcing panic into his voice. "She tried to drug me. She won't let me leave." Carol covered her mouth. Mark stared at the floor. Neither stopped him. Ryan ended the call and looked at me. Who are they going to believe? The old fear rose so fast I tasted metal. For a second, I was 18 and powerless again. An officer was wrenching my arms behind my back. My mother was screaming my name. Ryan stood in a blanket, looking brave and broken for the cameras. Then, Dad's voice came through the tiny receiver in my ear. "We're here, May." The locked door burst inward. Ryan spun around. Deputy Quinn entered first, with one hand near his holster. Elena followed after he cleared the doorway. My father was directly behind her. Dad saw the scratches on Ryan's chest. Then he saw me. "Don't touch her," he said. I had never heard his voice like that. Ryan pointed at me. "She attacked me." Elena raised her phone. "We watched you scratch yourself." Colour drained from Carol's face. Mark dropped my decoy phone. Deputy Quinn separated everyone and called for a second unit. He asked where the drugged drink was. Ryan pointed to the fireplace. I pointed to the open bottle on the counter. "The broken glass is in the fireplace," I said. "Test the residue inside it." The other glass came from the same bottle and can serve as a control sample. Ryan stared at me as if I had become a stranger. I let him look. Deputy Quinn asked why my parents were nearby. Elena answered. "Because my client got a suspicious email from an ex-boyfriend who had already made one false accusation. We notified Deputy Quinn before she came. That's why." "Client?" Ryan repeated. "Yes," Elena said. "Maya has an attorney." For the first time that afternoon, Ryan looked afraid. Then a phone began ringing inside Carol's purse. Not her phone. Mine. The one Ryan had stolen 2 weeks earlier. Carol's explanation changed 3 times. First, she said she had found the phone at home and forgotten about it. Then she said Ryan gave it to her for safekeeping. Finally, after Deputy Quinn reminded her that moving or hiding evidence could be a crime, she stopped talking. The bracelet was in her purse too, tangled around a packet of tissues. Ryan's father sat on the porch steps with his head in his hands. "This wasn't supposed to hurt anyone," he kept saying. Deputy Quinn packaged the bottle, both glasses, and our phones. He interviewed us separately until sunset, then sent everyone home. Nobody was arrested that afternoon. Elena made sure I left with my parents. As our car pulled away, Ryan stood behind the broken front door. He kept trying to catch my eye, as if I might explain how all of this had happened to him. At home, Mom cleaned the red marks his fingers had left on my wrist. "I'm sorry," I whispered. She looked up sharply. "For what?" "For putting you and Dad through this." "Don't." Mum wrapped the bandage too tightly, saw me wince, and loosened it. "Sorry, you called us." "That's what you were supposed to do." My throat tightened. Before, shame had done half of Ryan's work for him. I kept the worst details from my parents, and he filled the empty space. That night I told them everything except the one part I still could not make sound sane, that I remembered watching them die. That night, Ryan's account posted a video titled, "My Truth." It had been recorded earlier and scheduled to publish. Ryan sat in front of a blank wall, eyes red, voice shaking. He said, I had been obsessed with him for years. He said, I sabotaged his scholarship, stalked him to the cabin, and tried to force myself on him. Photos of his scratched chest appeared on screen. Then came a clip of me entering the cabin. The angle made it look as if I had arrived secretly. The video ended with a plea. Male survivors deserve to be believed too. He was right about that. It made his lie even crueler. Within an hour, strangers found my home address. Comments flooded Calder's admissions page. People tagged the school under my science fair photos. Someone sent my mother a picture of our house with the words, "We know where she lives." My body remembered dying. The kitchen walls tilted. My heart skipped, then raced. I couldn't pull air past my throat. Mom sat on the floor with me. "Name 5 things you see," she said. "The refrigerator. Your shoes." Dad's stupid Calder cake plate. "It is a beautiful plate," Dad called from the window, where he was checking the cameras. A laugh broke through my panic. 2 more, Mom said. "The clock. You. Good. 4 things you can touch." By the time police drove past our house, I could breathe again. At 10 o'clock, my own scheduled upload went live. No dramatic music, no captions insulting Ryan. Just time-stamped footage from the cabin, beginning with his demand that I drink and ending with him scratching his own chest. Eleanor added one sentence. "Evidence has been provided to law enforcement. Please do not contact or threaten anyone involved." The internet turned so quickly it made me sick. People who had called me a predator deleted their posts and pretended they had supported me all along. Creators stitched Ryan's plea beside footage of him fabricating his injuries. Local news stations asked for interviews. I declined every one. At midnight, Sienna called. "Maya," she said, breathless. "I need to tell you where Ryan got those pills." I put Sienna on speaker with my parents and Elena listening. "Start from the beginning," Elena said. Sienna went quiet. "Who's that?" "My attorney." "You have an attorney?" Ryan asked me the same thing. For once, Sienna didn't laugh. She admitted that Ryan had contacted her 3 days after the scholarship exam. He blamed her for keeping him at the party. She reminded him that he had stayed willingly. So he threatened to report the lake house owner for serving alcohol to minors unless she helped him. "He wanted something that would make you confused," she said. "I got 4 pills from a guy I know." Ryan said he just wanted you to embarrass yourself on camera so people would stop laughing at him. "Did you believe him?" I asked. Silence. "Sienna?" I didn't ask. There was the honest answer. "Why are you telling me now?" "Because his mum just called." She said if they go down, they're taking me with them. Her voice cracked. And because I saw the video, he could have killed you. Yes. I'm sorry. I waited for satisfaction. It didn't come. The other Sienna had been dead by now. Ryan polished her memory into a saint. In my own head, I reduced her to the first bad thing that happened to me. The girl sniffling over the phone was harder to simplify. She was reckless, selfish, frightened, and alive. Tell the police, I said. Give them every message. Will you ask them not to charge me? No. She inhaled sharply. But if you tell the truth, I continued, I'll tell them you cooperated before they contacted you. Sienna began to cry. I moved the phone farther from me and let Elena take over. 6 days after the cabin, the laboratory identified a prescription sedative in the broken glass. The warrants for Ryan's accounts and devices arrived the following week. He had deleted his searches and most of the family group chat, but the forensic extraction took the rest of the month and brought them back. He had looked up how long the drug stayed in a person's system. Messages between him and his parents mapped out the accusation. Mark would call the police, Carol would hide my phone and bracelet, and Ryan would post his statement while sympathy was highest. They had even discussed my heart condition. One message from Carol read, "Don't give her too much. We need her awake enough to look guilty." Mum vomited after she read it. Charges followed. Ryan was charged with attempted poisoning, evidence tampering, filing a false report, unlawful restraint, and conspiracy. His parents faced conspiracy, obstruction, and evidence tampering charges. Sienna accepted a deal requiring her full cooperation, probation, community service, and substance abuse treatment. Lakeshore withdrew Ryan's admission. Our high school barred him from graduation. On the morning the charges became public, Carol came to our house. She stood beyond the gate because Dad refused to let her onto the property. "Please," she called, mother to mother. Mom went outside, and I followed. Carol looked 20 years older than she had in March. "Ryan made a terrible mistake," she said. "But prison will ruin his life." Mom's expression didn't change. "Your son tried to drug my daughter. He was desperate." "So was Maya when you locked her in that cabin." Carol turned to me. "You know his heart. You know he isn't evil." I thought about that. People wanted evil to be a permanent condition, something visible in the face. That made it easy to believe the people we loved could never harm us. Ryan had once carried my books when my heart medication made me dizzy. He had made me a solar system model for my 13th birthday. He had also tried to frame me for assault. Both versions were real. "I don't need him to be evil," I said. "I only need him to be responsible." Carol's face crumpled. "If you testify, they'll give him years. Then he has time to understand what he did." "How can you be so cold?" My mother stepped between us. She still wore navy scrub pants from the night shift, and there was dried coffee on one sneaker. "Cold would have been leaving Ryan on that floor after those pills worked," Mom said. Maya called for help. "That was the last favor your son gets from her." Carol left alone. Ryan accepted a plea deal the week before I left for Boston. The evidence gave him no room to perform innocence for a jury. He received 4 years in state prison, followed by supervised release. His parents received shorter sentences, partly suspended, with probation and restitution. It was not the dramatic lifetime punishment strangers online demanded. It was 4 years, a stack of court orders, and enough distance for me to leave without checking the rearview mirror. Before sentencing, Ryan asked to speak with me through a monitored video call. Elena advised against it. I agreed anyway, because I was tired of finishing our conversations in my head. He appeared on the screen in an orange uniform. His hair was shorter. Without the practiced confidence, he looked like the boy who used to sit on my bedroom floor and ask for help with calculus. "Maya," he said. I waited. "Sienna told me you're still going to Calder." "Yes." "Biomedical engineering?" "Yes." His mouth twisted. "So you got everything you wanted." I almost pitied him. Even now, he believed my survival was something taken from him. No. My mother checks the doorbell camera at 2 in the morning. Dad keeps a baseball bat beside the furnace tools. Sometimes a car slows near our house and I end up crouched on the kitchen floor. Does that sound like everything? For a moment, he looked ashamed. Then he said, "You could have stopped all of this. You knew Sienna planned to keep me at the party. You could have called my parents. If I had taken that exam, none of this would have happened." He said it with such weary certainty that I almost checked my own memory. Almost. I leaned closer to the screen. "I did save you once." His brow furrowed. "What?" "I warned your parents. I got you out of that party. I kept you awake and drove you to the exam. You won the scholarship." He stared at me. "What are you talking about? You got everything you said you wanted. And you still blamed me for what Sienna chose to do afterward. You destroyed my family because you needed your grief to be someone else's fault." His face went still. Maybe he thought I was speaking in metaphor. Maybe some part of him understood. It no longer mattered. "This time," I said, "I didn't save your future. I saved mine. Maya, wait." I ended the call. The screen went black. A few seconds later, Elena knocked on the door and asked if I wanted takeout. I did. Boston smelled like rain, coffee, and hot pavement when we arrived in August. Dad complained about the traffic for 40 straight minutes. Mom cried while making my dorm bed, then denied crying. They took enough photos to document my room from every possible angle. When it was time for them to leave, fear caught me by the throat. I had never made it to college before. I had fought so hard to reach this room that the cinder block walls and cheap wooden desk seemed temporary, like a set that would be taken down as soon as somebody noticed I did not belong in the scene. Mom kept refolding the same towel. "You have your medication?" she asked. "Front pocket, backup prescription, desk drawer. And you'll call before a panic attack becomes chest pain, not after." Yes, Nurse Bennett. She gave up on the towel and hugged me. "Smart mouth, you'll be fine." Calder was harder than I dreamed, and better than I deserved to expect. By October, I could grow cardiac tissue on a polymer scaffold, but still could not predict the green line. I failed my first organic chemistry quiz, cried in a library stairwell, and discovered the grade remained a 68, whether I treated it like a tragedy or not. The next quiz went better. I missed home most on Sunday mornings, when Dad sent pictures of whatever he had burned for breakfast. I went to therapy on Thursdays. Some weeks I talked about Ryan. Some weeks I complained about my roommate leaving wet towels on my chair. Both kinds of week counted. Ryan's name slowly disappeared from search trends. Sienna completed treatment and enrolled at community college. She sent me one final message. "I used to think winning meant someone else had to lose. I'm trying to become a person who knows better." I read it between 2 lectures and put my phone away. Months later, I realized I had never replied. I had never blocked her either. During sophomore year, a student named Noah Alvarez joined my lab team. Noah labeled everything, including his lunch, because he lost things constantly. His bench drawers were immaculate. His lab notebook looked as if it had survived a small explosion. When he got nervous, he made jokes so bad that people sometimes mistook them for serious statements. The first time he saw me panic, he did almost everything wrong. He asked if I needed water 3 times, knocked over the water when he brought it, and hovered in the doorway until I told him the hovering made it worse. "Right," he said. "I'm going to leave now," in a supportive way. He came back 20 minutes later, set a can of tomato soup outside my dorm room without a can opener, and left before I could point out the problem. I laughed anyway. It helped. 3 months later, he asked me on a date. "I don't know if I'm ready," I said. "Right, sure. I mean, not sure that you're not ready. I believe you." That sounded awful. A little. "I'm going to sterilize something." For the next 4 days, Noah discussed nothing with me except cell cultures. On Friday, I found my labelled pipettes arranged by height. "Are we going to be weird forever?" I asked. He stared at the pipettes. "This is not weird. This is efficient. You put the 10 microliter one on a paper towel throne. It's sensitive." We were laughing again by lunch. Near the end of the semester, after an 11-hour lab day and an argument about whose turn it was to clean the incubator, he tried once more. "Coffee," he said. "Possibly food. Definitely outside this building. Would that be okay?" It was. The Italian restaurant he picked had closed 8 months earlier. Noah stood under the dark awning, checked the address 3 times and said, "In my defense, their website remains extremely confident." We bought pizza slices and ate them under the laundromat awning next door while rain soaked our shoes. I told him about Dad's Calder cake plate. He told me his older sister still introduced him as the child who got his head stuck in a patio chair. Neither story proved anything important about us. That was probably why I remembered both. At the end of the night, he walked me to my dorm. Noah leaned toward me, stopped, and rubbed the back of his neck. "I would like to kiss you," he said. "But you're making a face, and I can't tell if it means yes or food poisoning." "It's not food poisoning." That only eliminates one option. I caught the front of his damp jacket and kissed him. For years, I had treated love like life support, something I had to keep running with my own hands, or the other person would collapse. This was smaller and a little clumsy. There had been room for me to step back. There was room for me to stay. The next morning, I found 2 coffees outside the lab. One was labelled Maya. The other was labelled No, because he had apparently forgotten which one he was holding and left both. I carried them downstairs. Noah was on the Green Line platform patting every pocket of his jacket, still looking for the coffees. The train screamed around the curve, late as usual, and we had to run for it. The doors nearly closed on my backpack. Coffee splashed down my sleeve. Somebody swore at me when I stumbled into the aisle. I started laughing before I found a seat. The end.